I can always count on you, man. I can always count on Moan and have some. Man, me, Tyjun, and Moan, man, we grew up since. Well, me and Tyjun, we grew up since 5th grade. But Moan since the 9th grade or 8th grade or so. So, man, we go way back. So appreciate you for coming through the chat room and joining in with us.
Hey, real talk. The way IT's fall from grace has happened, I wouldn't be surprised if he was in Europe next year. Like,
wow.
it's been bad, man.
It's been a huge fall, but part of it though is not really his fault. I mean, I think the injury part of it that it did affect it. Also, I think his comment that he made, I think that was also a part of it. The comment that he made saying, basically said when the adversity hits us, we start to divide, or he said something to that effect. A week later, you're getting traded. I think the people seen him as possibly being a cancer. I think that was a part of the trade also. I don't think it was just because of he doesn't fit. I think that part also was in place for that too.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think that as well. I mean, the locker room was pretty bad. It was pretty bad in Cleveland, you know. And so I mean that plays a role as well. But you know, overall, I just like I said, I never thought it was a good fit from the beginning. You know, IT is not a player. Like I said, when you look at IT and you look at Kyrie, the reason Kyrie was able to fit with LeBron James was because Kyrie has the ability to play on and off the ball, and with that ability, he doesn't necessarily need the ball in his hands to be effective. And we already know that this Cleveland team, we're not even just Cleveland, just LeBron James. Wherever LeBron James goes, LeBron James will be your primary ball handler. That's what it is. And when you have a guard like IT needs to be the primary ball handler. And so you already have a conflict of styles on the court at the same time. So it wasn't going to work from the gate. It couldn't work. And it'll be interesting to see how the Lakers work with this because, you know, if you look at the Lakers have turned their game into a really free-flowing offense. They're, like, moving the ball, like, beautifully now. You know, like, everybody's moving the ball. Nobody's, like, just looking to jack up shots and things like that. And that's primarily because of Lonzo Ball, who kind of came in and he changed the culture with his ability to pass and, you know, and just moving the ball consistently. You know, so it'll be interesting to see IT because IT is a ball stopper, similar to like Carmelo Anthony. It'll be interesting to see how he fits in there, and whether that can work or not. You know, he'll be free agent at the end of the year. I don't personally see the Lakers re-signing him, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think anything's possible. Big L in the chat room says IT to Houston. Now, here's the other thing, though, too. Is IT now going to become the sixth man, or is he going to need or demand to start? That's the other part of this. He's been starting pretty much for the past couple of years. If he goes to
he's already demanded. He's already demanded. His agent said he demands to start.
Yeah,
he said he's not coming off the bench. That's
what you say, but when there's no offers on the table, I'm sure he'll start changing his tune. But I mean, you gotta factor all that in. But so Isaiah Thomas is gone. What is he gonna do with the Lakers? They've already said tonight, I believe, they playing the Mavs, that he's gonna be coming off the bench to figure out how he fits into the system. Tyler with Enough with the BS podcast is in the chat room. Appreciate you. Also, the greatest in the chat room. Tyler says IT and his small talk got his little midget self traded. Oh my God. Okay, so we got a lot more trades to talk about. So Isaiah Thomas, that one was done. I did a Facebook Live the day of the trade deadline. I'm thinking, okay, that was the big one. Next thing you know, Dwayne Wade gets traded back to the Heat. I understand that one, and I think he's at the end of his career. I think he probably either seen, well, the story that I heard is that he seen Pat Riley at his agent's funeral, and they started to kind of bond. And I think that had a part of it, but also I think D Wade is done after this year. And what better way to end your career than to end it with the team that you played with the majority of your career, and the team that you will probably retire from.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's done this at the end of this season, but I will say first, like, I think the death of the agent brought them back together. But I also think that him going to Cleveland was good for him in his psyche. Meaning, D Wade still saw himself as a starter in the league. And that was the problem in Miami, where it was like, D Wade, you're on your last leg, and we have this young talent that we need to develop, and we need you as a veteran to push that young talent, but we need you to come off the bench now. And D Wade wasn't ready to do that. And so he got what he wanted in Chicago. He still started. And then he came to Cleveland, and he tried to start, and it just didn't work. And so he finally realized that, like, I'm at that point now where I'm no longer a starter in the league. Like, I am a six-man. You know, I am a player who can come off the bench and give you some solid minutes, etc. And once that happened, I think that also made it a viable option to go back to Miami. Because he won't start in Miami. He will be a six-man. But Miami has a really, really young, developing team that needs some leadership. And with him and Udonis Haslam, they can bring that leadership to the team. So,
Yeah.
you know, Whiteside is pretty immature. You know, you got a lot of young players like Tyler Johnson, Winslow, you know, who are still developing and things like that. And so with him being there, he can help push that development while also teaching them how to win and then fight in the playoffs.
Right. I think it's a great move. And Moan in the chat room, he says D Wade was traded for jersey sales. Now I think that was smart. I think that was smart. I think it was time. I think when you start to realize, when it's starting to get towards the end, a lot of players, I believe in their heart, they're like, I don't want to leave the game, or I don't want to leave Miami like that. I don't want to leave whatever city. I don't want to leave that bad taste into people's mouths or people's mind. And I think that played a lot into that role. So on to the next. The Cavs then making more trades. Shumpert. They get Rodney Hood. They get George Hill. George Hill was in talks for a while, so I'm not that surprised about that one. Rodney Hood, though, they basically flipped their entire roster in a matter of an hour. They completely flipped the whole roster. D Rose is gone. Almost everybody included in that trade is gone. Man, I was just like, I didn't even think something like this could happen this fast. This is like NBA Live, NBA 2K, fantasy draft trade scenarios right here.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a great trade for them. They, you know, George Hill and Rodney Hood come into that backcourt. Rodney Hood is a really, really good shooter who learned how to play off the ball as well. And he's an above-average defender. You look at George Hill. George Hill is also an above-average defender, and he's a shooter. But George Hill can also play off the ball. So what Dan Gilbert basically did was he brought in three scorers, three people who can score, three people who can shoot, but also three players who can move and play without the ball, so they can allow LeBron James to be the ball handler as usual. And what you're going to see is more, again, of a lot of cutting, a lot of spot-up shooting, and things like that, all focused around LeBron. And that's the way most of LeBron's teams has been for his entire career, where he has shooters put around him, and he kind of operates the middle of the court. So those are good pieces for them. They're also younger pieces. You know, Rodney Hood, like I said, Rodney Hood, Clarkson, Larry Nance, they're younger pieces. If LeBron James leaves, which a lot of people are believing that he's going to leave, you still have that Nets pick, which will end up being like a top 5, top 7 pick, that you'll end up bringing in a franchise player to go with all these young players. And hopefully, you know, I think Dan Gilbert is hoping that he can at least start developing this or keep competitive in the East, while also trying to sell the team, because there is rumors that he's trying to sell the team too. So try to keep the team competitive, making money, and then also, being able to be a viable organization to sell.
Yeah. And we got a question in the chat room. Okabella says, do you guys think LeBron picked all those players to be on the Cavs? I'm going to say yes. I believe LeBron is part player, part GM, part president, part owner. He is everything. He is everything in Cleveland. There's no doubt in my mind that I don't know if he handpicked these people, but I'm sure he was in the meeting room with like, what are we gonna do? Because I'm pissed. I mean, you could hear his frustration. You could see his frustration throughout these games, and I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron was heavily involved in everything that went down. And Courtney Arden says LeBron is all of the above. He is. He's included in everything. Now, do you think he's leaving, or do you think he's going to stay?
I mean, I think that's the $1 million question for everybody, right? Yeah, right. Does he leave or does he stay? I personally feel like this. I feel like if this is a team that gets to the Eastern Conference Finals and runs into, let's say, the Boston Celtics, which I think they will, if they win and they beat the Boston Celtics, then no, I don't think he leaves. I think he stays. But I think if they do lose to the Boston Celtics and lose like convincingly, then I do think that he changes course and decides on another route to try to win another ring. I personally feel like he's accepted the fact that if he never wins another ring, like, he's cool. He just wants to play. He wants to be competitive, but he also wants to get paid. And and so I think the pay is more motivation than winning a ring for him right now. So for me, that means that he can leave. We probably will leave, but if they're competitive, there's no reason for him to leave Cleveland if they're really competitive and they can, take Boston to 7 games or, things like that. If they can do that, then he doesn't leave. There's no reason for him to leave because he'll get the money in Cleveland as well. But I can see him going to L.A. I can see him trying to go to an organization where they'll pay him a lot of money and he can have more spotlight, grow his brand even more, and make money. Really, that's what it is, make money.
Yeah.
You go to the West. It's a dogfight in the West.
Yeah, it is. It is. Big L says LBJ will be the next owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Maybe. I think he is. I think the only way to get him to stay is that he needs to have part ownership, which means his money and his stock and his dollars can rise beyond just signing a contract. And I definitely think that that's on the table because when he's done playing, I'm sure he would want to own the Cavs. He's from Cleveland. He's from Ohio. That's his home. So that to me is what he wants. And if that's not what he wants, then I don't know, because there's a lot of things that have happened this week in his favor or to help him, I believe, want to stay.
Yeah.
And
I think your boy, he has a great point because, when you look at there was another player that was in a similar situation. His name was Kevin Garnett. And when he went back to the Timberwolves this last time, he went back to the Timberwolves with the idea that he would get stock and have the option of purchasing the Timberwolves. And then died. What's his name?
Saunders?
I believe it was Saunders. But I think he passed away. When he passed away, that option disappeared with it. So that was one of the reasons why Kevin Garnett had went back, because they had spoke of him taking over part ownership of the Timberwolves. And I mean, I think he should, because when I think of the Timberwolves, I think of Kevin Garnett. When you think of the Cleveland Cavaliers, you think of LeBron James. There's nobody else you think of with the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's LeBron James. That's who it is. Cleveland is LeBron. So, I would love to see something like that, and also just seeing more players who build franchises like that become owners of those franchises.
Definitely. All right, well, I appreciate you, Tyjun, as always. Got the next caller up on the line. We'll definitely have more
Yes,
to
sir.
talk about, of course,